Welcome everyone to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter. I am joined by Tara to discuss Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 12. The title is There Is a Tide. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. And it's funny because we had a two-part earlier in the season, but I would argue this is as much of a first half of a two-parter as that was, because it feels like it's all just one big incident. Yeah. So, yeah, big stuff to talk about this episode. What green ladies, actually, what's her name? Osyraa.
Kidder.
Osyraa. What she's actually wanting to do, she goes to the Federation, pretending to be, she isn't on Discovery, but pretending as if the Discovery is coming in as normal. And the Bad Admiral does actually realize, after he's let them in, admittedly, that she's got control of Discovery. But what she's actually there for is a little surprising. She's there to form a truce with the Federation in the hopes of creating a new Federation in which the Emerald Chain is part of the Federation. And Admiral Man's very understandably like, well, you have a lot of slavery. We've got a hard stance on that. Maybe
I didn't think he was so bad. I was expecting a Badmiral scene, but he wasn't so bad in this. Like, he was pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
I thought.
Part of me was expecting him to sort of like concede in something the Federation would never concede on.
Yeah.
It's good for that. Because, I mean, there is some caveats where eventually the deal she has is that she says we have to, like all these planets that the Emerald Chain, all these rich assholes that are in our system that are controlling, we can't just take away their planets immediately. It has to be kind of a gradual, 15-year process. Because if we just try and take it away, it's going to be intergalactic war, all over the place, because everyone's going to be pissed, and it can't work like that. But
she's basically saying look, the Federation doesn't have a capitalist society anymore because it doesn't have money. But out in deep space, where you guys aren't paying attention to right now, Federation is dealing in trades and currency.
Deep Space 295, I think.
Something like that, yeah. Not one I'm familiar with. It sounds far. But on the show, Deep Space Nine, there is a little bit of that going around. Even though Star Trek has not had any currency, they deal in latinum and gold pressed latinum all the time in that show because the Ferengi deal in it. And so it does bring currency back into the Star Trek franchise. So I think it is crucial that she brings up a deep space, because that's always been a thing about Deep Space Nine that fans bring up.
That seems intentional to me. It seems intentional to say something that would make you think of deep space, because it does. I mean, you hear deep space and you're like, okay, right, so
right.
There's a lot more numbers than we're used to, but it makes you think of that show. I'm not surprised Frakes directed this, by the way, because there was a couple of Dutch angles in there that I noticed that felt a bit
He loves them.
Overzealous, shall we say.
It wasn't too bad in this, though.
No. It was shots of Michael in the vents. It felt like, why is there Dutch angles in these scenes? Stop it, Frakes. Calm down. Calm down. Because I wasn't paying attention during the opening titles, because that's look at Twitter time. It's just the opening titles. But so I never noticed who was directed. But it got to the Dutch angles and I went, I bet this is a Frakes episode. I haven't checked, and it's only just now because I'm looking at the IMDb page that I see it is, and I'm like, yeah, I knew it.
Yep. I knew that beautiful blue-eyed man. He's puffy now, but that's okay.
Yes. So
Puffy Riker.
Osyra's deal is a lot more interesting, and it is kind of hurt by a lot of what she's doing to get here, because of taking over Discovery, being very villainous. The one sticking point for Badmiral is eventually that essentially she's going to appoint someone to deal with negotiations, trade, someone to represent the chain with the Federation at meetings and things like that.
Yeah, and he's like, and it can't be you because you're a war criminal.
Yeah,
there's no way people would trust you or accept you.
Because it's because for a good little bit of the episode until this point, it sounds like he's actually quite impressed with this deal she struck up, and that he's kind of willing to take it to the president and be like, hey, this is actually a really good idea to kickstart the Federation again and get us a lot more power.
Well, they're both operating on one leg, basically. They don't have, they're both missing something, but if they can join up together, then they have something powerful, something where they can, put peace if they want to. But Osyraa, she wants strength and she wants numbers, she wants representation, but she doesn't. I don't think she ultimately wants peace. She wants to bring back money into the Federation, which they still don't have technically.
Well, that was the thing I was getting to, is the thing for her, because she's obviously all for everything with this deal, and he's very receptive. But the one thing when he flips it around on her at the end is because she says, "Oh, I'll appoint someone who's a good representative," and the first time the computer who's there to catch her lying says she's lying is when she says that, you know, that whoever she appoints will have full, you know, autonomy and be able to decide things and argue things, and it won't just be a proxy for her decisions.
Did that computer remind you of Babylon 5 a bit? Like the whole idea of having something, a lie detector there during a big negotiation? Because I was thinking of Babylon 5 when they had the telepaths are like required to be a part of these major deals.
I didn't think of that, but it's fair. Yeah, I get it. I get why you thought
if anyone doesn't know, we're reviewing Babylon 5 right now.
Yes, every
we're
week.
Only on season 1.
It's a very interesting show. You should check it out. It's
neither of us have watched it before. Yeah.
Yes, check out the reviews and watch the show along with us. Good fun. If you want some more 90s sci-fi, because obviously we don't, you've already seen all the Star Trek shows, presumably. Yeah, go back and watch Babylon 5. Yeah, so that's kind of the sticking point, and the computer's like, no, that part wasn't true. That's the first time because everything else she said about, you know, she's not harmed the crew, she's given orders not to harm them, all that sort of stuff, all that is true.
She's here for peace.
Yeah.
To negotiate for peace. So
all of this has been true. The one thing she lies about towards the end is that she won't secretly be in charge of the chain.
Yeah.
Like, that is the one thing.
The word they use is proxy. Like, he would just be a proxy for you. It's like, no, he wouldn't.
And it's not just that he insists that there has to be someone who has the power to make decisions. It's that he says that, oh, and by the way, you are a total war criminal. You have to be tried for your crimes. But he does say, look, what you're doing here is a big deal, so you'll be treated with a sense of justice. There'll be fairness to it. You won't just be like, it won't just be like a death sentence. It won't just be
right, but she wouldn't be in control.
Yes, you'd have to give up your power. So honestly, the most interesting Star Trek ending they could possibly do for this season at this point is to have her willingly give up that power. If she does that, and this like sets up what season 4 is going to be, this new Federation, that is a genius, full Star Trek style decision that would have power and weight to it, and I would respect the hell out of it. I'm not convinced they're going to do it, but it's what they should do.
I mean, totally. Star Trek has, dealt with bringing in former villains into the Federation before, where it's still kind of sketchy. Like, we want to trust you, so we're going to make these deals and bring the Romulans or the Klingons or whoever into the Federation. But, presumably the Romulans are much later. But, it's not unlike Starfleet to do that, but it is like a huge ask to bring in all of these planets into the Federation at one time. But they're crippled right now. They don't have any kind of power. They don't have dilithium, and the one thing that they do have is the Discovery spore drive is in the hands of the enemy right now, who's making negotiations. So.
Well, not really. But at the end of the episode, she doesn't. But, but yeah.
Right. While she's doing the negotiating,
the point I'm making
that
is
on
that
the table.
I find it far more fascinating and powerful if she willingly steps down and puts her, essentially, forgive the expression, puts her money where her mouth is and says, "No, I believe in this enough that I will give up my place to and don't get me wrong. If it doesn't happen that way, let's say she ends up dying in battle, but then the deal still kind of goes through, so we still have this new Federation set up for season 4. That's still cool, and I'll still be happy.
We don't trust half of them.
And I'll still be happy with season 4's premise again, much like I was happy with season 3's premise. But it would be far more interesting of a finale to me to have this character willingly give up her power. And because it would make everyone who's been saying she's just evil, because actually my least favorite part of this episode is this, her scientist friend that she's basically raised from like orphanage is like unaware that she's an evil bitch. Like that, like I hated this subplot.
I didn't hate it. I was neutral towards it. I was sort of expecting him to be married to her because we don't know who his wife is. We just know that she's Orion. I thought, oh, I bet that's his wife.
It just
but
felt
then
like
they brought up the whole like he was adopted by her at 10.
Yeah.
Like, that would be weird, but maybe it's still the case.
The Woody Allen style relationship. No,
Sydney.
I thought it was such bullshit that he, like, all of a sudden Stamets says a couple of times, oh, she's got slaves, she's done these awful things, and in the very next scene that he's with her, he starts noticing that she's evil. I'm like, you've been with her your whole life and you've never noticed that she might actually be, like, really, like, nasty and, like, does malicious things. And
Yeah, but people can be brainwashed by authority figures.
well, in that
That
case, he
does
snapped.
happen.
Yeah, yes, but in that case, he snaps out of it too quick.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that whether or not I believe the brainwash or not, it's not the problem here. The problem is that he immediately just like, oh, she is kind of evil. Oh, and then of course she has to do the ultra evil thing by shooting the Andorian in the head. And you knew he was going to die as well, because earlier in the episode he has that moment with Book where he's
Right.
like, oh, I need to do this. I need to stick up for myself and do something good. I'm like, he's dead by the end of the episode.
Oh,
He's
totally.
gone.
Yeah.
He's a goner.
I did the same thing.
Okay.
It's like, well, that sucks. The Andorian's going to die later.
And it's like, you're not a red shirt because you've actually had plot and character growth, so I guess that's, you're more than a red shirt, but
Yeah,
that's-
it would be nice to have an Andorian on the crew.
yeah, but I was like, yeah, you're dead later. Like, bye.
Yeah.
Nice knowing you.
We don't have enough aliens, I don't think, on our Starfleet crew.
I did think it was a nice choice not to show Saru or Adira on
Yeah.
in the nebula. I thought that was a nice choice because I did think it was weird though, because we were joking that Stamets looks at Adira as a child, but I felt like he's actually
he
saying
actually
it.
does. Yeah.
He says, my child
that's
and my
my child."
husband is on that planet. I'm like, what? Come on now. Come on. Like, you've been bonding with them for a few weeks, right? Maybe a few months. Are you ready to say you've adopted?
I would say that they were more like his protege, but I guess, okay, child.
But it's not like I'd get it if Adira
Because
was like
Adira's
12.
been acting like an adult for a while.
If Adira was 12, I'd get why it feels like a sort of like, parent-child dynamic. But it's not. Adira's like 22.
Yeah.
This is weird.
They've had a boyfriend. Like, I mean, lots of children do, I guess. Boyfriends or whatever, but
But I just,
share pudding snacks together. I don't know.
all right,
but-
Steve. I don't know. I did think it
My
was
whole
effective.
life's on that planet.
Yeah, that line made me laugh a little bit. But I did like his reaction because he didn't actually know Adira was on the radioactive planet as well. So when
Yeah.
Michael just casually mentions it, he's like, "What? No!" And because he gets really upset because Michael's dieharding around the ship because she's like on her own. She's got
Yeah,
like
it was very diehard.
Book gives her a device that sort of
Yippee-ki-yay.
blocks her from the scanners and stuff. So she's crawling around vents and she's like doing
She's
like,
talking to the villain like
Yeah.
over a walkie-talkie.
yeah, she's wrestling and getting stabbed in the leg by one of the henchmen.
I know. She got stabbed in the leg in the beginning of season 2, and I think it was the same leg. That leg's taken a beating.
And she's limping. She's even on her bare feet for like half the episode, just like
Yeah.
John McClane.
I was expecting some broken glass, but we didn't get it.
I'm actually disappointed I didn't do Broken Glass. Like, how dare you? If you're going to do Die Hard, do Die Hard. Don't
Yeah,
don't
it was
pussy
definitely
out
Die
of it.
Hard. I'm
Except
sure
instead-
Fix is a fan.
Except instead of the villain Hans Gruber at the end, it was Stamets going out the bubble, like going out the ship. Because that was their plan, is to like they can't have control of the spore drive if they don't have Stamets. So it's like, no, I'm just going to jettison them off the ship into the Federation so that they can't use them. And he is yelling, "We came in the future for you.
Yeah.
Culber came in the future because we believed in you. We didn't want you to be alone in the future. How could you do this to us?"
Yeah,
Like,
she's basically like, bye.
was that meant to be the Powers Booth thing from is it the Wild Bunch or I don't know, it's one of those movies from that era. Powers
Yeah.
Booth with the mustache, he just sort of goes, because it's a gift that's used a lot, which is why like I know it, but he's like, well, bye, like that's kind of his delivery.
It was not
But-
meant to be Powers Booth.
But yeah, yeah.
But
Good-
it
good
was
actor.
a pretty big like turn for Michael. Like, I mean, she's still doing the whole like needs of the many over needs of the few thing by choosing to save the Federation versus
Yeah.
saving Saru and Culber. But she was like upset when Saru said, "We're not going to go do this for Giorgio, who's dying and just needs to go to a planet real quick." and
Yeah,
come back.
this is the frustrating thing about this, or maybe not frustrating, maybe the good thing about this, is that on the one hand, it felt like a selfish Michael moment. However, because of why she's doing it, it actually feels like the most justified choice she's made like this in the show so far. I felt like, okay, you know what? She's having to do this thing that, from his perspective, feels really evil and selfish, but ultimately, it's not. It's the opposite. And like you say, because of that decision with Saru, where he said, no, we're not doing this before, it makes more sense. However, I think the problem with it that feels a little bit like questionable, where you go, maybe she's still just being Michael, is that, oh, it's easy in this case because it's not other people she cares about that are in danger.
And maybe she wants the captain's seat.
It's easy for her when it's someone else and not the person she's like,
Yeah.
not in love
if
with.
Book was on the planet.
Yeah, if Book was on the planet, it'd be like, no, I'm commandeering this ship, bitches. No one's stopping me. Like, that would be the attitude.
Yeah.
So, which, I mean, we said they were stranded at the end of the last episode. It never even occurred to us, I don't think, that they'll just use the same weird back channel that the other ship, the villain ship, used to get there in the first place. So, I mean, it made sense.
Yeah, I guess they travel through subspace. Yeah. They seem to go pretty far, like, pretty quickly. It doesn't look like they have that much trouble, like, getting around. Was this some sort of, like, courier network that they were using?
It brings into question that they need to, I mean, it's meant to be dangerous and hard to do, and Book was having to dodge a lot of shit, but it does kind of question, like, can't you just clean this up then, and that'll fix the dilithium problem, and just travel?
Looks like you have another way to travel. Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, there might be something that we're missing.
This is a really minor nitpick, but before the actual, like, the ships arrive and all that, and it's just the admiral walking with his second in command, and they're walking through, like, the Federation headquarters. They do this thing where they're walking the lower, like, part of it, and then they teleport up to the upper deck and keep walking.
Oh, I like that.
Right?
I thought that was funny.
I don't dislike it on its own, but when you stop and think about it, it makes no sense. If you're going to teleport this willy-nilly whenever you need to teleport to get from A to B, then why are you even walking to this and then walking from there? Just teleport from where you were to your final destination.
Well, I assume they walked into, like, a teleporter thing that instead of an elevator just put them up to the next level.
No, I thought they just tapped their badge.
Oh, I'm not sure.
And I'm like, if you can just teleport this willy-nilly as much as you want, why are you even walking from here and then just teleporting this little way?
They gotta get their steps in.
Okay, whatever. I was like, when I thought about it,
they're all very fit. They have to do their walking.
When I thought about it for half a second, I'm like, this is stupid. If it's this easy to teleport, why not just teleport from A to B? Why are you doing the walk to here? Teleport this little distance.
I didn't realize they tapped their badges. Like, honestly, I thought they stopped. Like, they walked into an area that was, like, instead of elevators now, they just have teleporters, like, set up.
Someone can confirm.
If you step here, you're going to go to the next level.
That would be fine. Someone can confirm in the comments. But I thought they just tapped their badges because they realized, oh, this is better than walking upstairs. We'll just. I'm like, yeah, you could have just done this for the whole distance. Like, you didn't have to walk at all.
I mean, why would any of their ships have elevators if they can just tap anyway?
That's a fair point. That's the other thing Michael was using in this episode is the wrist one, like materialized the phaser in her hand, and then took it away again. Proper nanotech stuff. It's the first time they've had an excuse to actually make things proper, like, high tech, like, beyond what all the other Trek shows have done. So they've got, like, an excuse to, like, oh, that's just the nanotech and, like, all this fancy shit.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, but I understand why it's there. I hate this clean future. I like tactile buttons and things that click and switch.
The example I always go back to is Iron Man. I think even though it makes sense for it to get more advanced and go to nanobots eventually, I think the Iron Man suit in, like, the last couple of Avengers movies where it's just materializing around him is far less satisfying and just looks like magic compared to mechanical parts clicking at its place. It's just way more like seeing the click, 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 like, that is satisfying. As a human being, for some reason, something about parts clicking at its place is really satisfying. Yeah.
Yes,
so.
I want to go into a spaceship one day and have to, like, switch all the things on the top dials and turn things and push buttons, and the other buttons are lighting up. Got to hit that one. That's space travel.
The truth is it's going to be. I mean, Next Generation probably had it mostly right with all the touchscreens. I feel like Stamets with his hands in the gel might actually be what it is by the time we get there, though. It'll just be like, no, hands in the gel. Just do it with your mind. Okay.
So lame. I don't like the this is not just Star Trek. This is a lot like I was at my parents' house and they were watching Passengers, and they have this also with the tablets that you could see from both sides. Like, does nobody have privacy? Like, why would you want that?
Yeah, this is I've seen this in a few science fiction things. It's like, yeah, why would we ever want these things? But
why would I ever want people to know what I'm looking at?
But they look so futuristic and cool on screen, so that's why they have them.
I don't like it.
Yeah, they're stupid. No one would use them. I hate it too.
You would think it would be like the that stuff you put on glass, so if you look at it from any angle, it looks black. But if you look at it straight on, then you can see what you're looking at. You would think the future tech would have that on all sides.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be totally concealed, except for the person who's looking at it.
I don't have an answer for you. I don't.
Okay, well, it's a bit of a tangent anyway.
Yeah. Some of the crew get a bit of time here because they have to outwit their captors because they're all being held hostage. So there's a little, the two guys, neither of whom names I know.
Reese and Bryce.
Whoa. Okay, Tara's.
I know.
On the ball.
I do have a problem with the fact that I also have to think hard about the names. I really wanted. When season 1 was coming out and I was looking at all the videos and stuff going up to it, and they were talking about the episode Lower Decks from Next Generation, which is a later season, and how it's done from the perspective of the Lower Decks crew, but there's still like everything, like the main storyline's going on. So when you see Riker from the perspective of the Lower Decks guy, he's very intimidating, because he's one of the bridge crew officers. Like, this is a big deal that Riker's in this scene, and it's done really well. So it makes you care about these characters that you don't normally get in the show. And when they were talking about like casting and creating characters for the show, they wanted to take that element and put that in the new series. So even though we have our main bridge crew people, they're not like they're not nobodies, like we know who they are. They have like backstory. But I don't really feel connected to them. They all still kind of feel like blank characters that are replaceable to me. Like, I don't have any emotional connection to Bryce or Reese. Detmer had like a little bit of an arc earlier in the season, but I kind of thought it was bad. Like, I want her to have like a great episode, like an Arium episode. But instead we're just, I don't know. I don't like these characters very much. They're not giving me the thing that they said they would from the beginning.
Yeah, they get to react to things. That's basically
it's mostly just like looks. Like, we just get glances.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I recognize their faces, but I don't feel anything for the characters. This is the last episode I'm doing on Discovery, so that's why I'm bringing this up.
Well, should be the last episode. I say that because deliveries can be delayed. I just want to put that out there. All right. In theory, Connor should be back for the finale next week, but there's always the chance that maybe not.
Sure, okay. Well, maybe not then. But I don't know. I wished I liked this moment with those characters more than any other moments that we've had with them, because it didn't come off as, I don't know, like usually when we see them is either a glance or they're just like praising each other about being great people.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel authentic, like real characters to me.
The other thing from these scenes is there's a moment that felt a bit flat to me was where Tilly and Book have a moment where Tilly thinks that he's like questioning her plan. He's like, no, I'm staying here to hold off the bad guys because I trust you to save Michael and save the ship. And I'm like, have we even had a scene between these two characters to justify why they're having this moment? Yeah, it felt really flat because of that to me.
Yeah, I agree. But I do like Tilly in this episode a lot.
Well, that's the other thing, is that we're finally getting to the AI playing a role, because the AI wouldn't let them delete off the computer all this old movie footage, and it turns out that that's kind of where it's hiding. And then there's like the three, like, I don't know, the droids that clean shit up or whatever they are like inhabited by this.
And they're color coded.
Yeah, RGB. They're red, blue, and green.
Yeah.
No, sorry, red, yellow, and green. Or red, yellow, blue. I don't know.
I think no, there's like a pink, a yellow, and a blue one.
It's red, yellow, blue. It's the primary colors.
Yeah, I understand, but like it looked pink to me.
Okay, it was a bit pinkier, but it was red, yellow, blue. But that's kind of where their plot ends. Is like, oh hey, we've got some robot helpers now who are on their side. So it's like, okay, we're doing some.
They're very CG.
Honestly, yeah, it was probably the first time I think in a while in this show where I felt the CG a little bit and went, they don't look bad. They look high quality for a TV show, but they're noticeably CG. Whereas the show tends to avoid that most of the time. So,
yeah, it stood out to me. I didn't love it. I would rather puppets, but that's okay.
I mean, I guess just floating robots.
I mean, the budget in this show has never like not been great. So.
Oh yeah, no. It's just that I guess floating robots that are interacting with the actors inside the ship are a bit harder.
They look animatronic to me. Yeah, they look a little bit like Disney characters.
Well, they don't look animatronic though. They look CG.
Well, they don't look. Yeah. Okay. So they look CG. They look animated. They look like animated Disney characters, and like rejects from WALL-E. That are on Star Trek Discovery now.
Because I would like animatronic. Animatronic would be cool.
You're right.
Tactile.
Yeah.
What we're saying? Go back to tactile.
Autoerotica.
That's a really dirty joke for Jurassic Park. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. The joke is that I am bad with figuring out the right word for it.
Yes. Which also the lawyer in Jurassic Park clearly had the same issue. Because he says that about the scientists as well, doesn't he? It's the scene where they're going past the scientists where he says that.
Yeah.
Are these autoerotica? Like, what are you expecting? The scientists still start having an orgy in front of the kiddie ride?
It's such a good line.
I love how John Hammond no sells it as well. He doesn't even like chuckle or like, you know what? I'm not even going to address what he just said because he's an idiot.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yes.
He doesn't want to embarrass him.
Yes, I spared no expense, but not that much.
That's at the end of the tour.
That's the After Dark. All the kids go to bed. All the parents come out for the After Dark Jurassic Park show.
All right, let's get back on track.
Yes. So we got 3 robots that are helping Tilly and co. Book's held captive. Andorian's dead. Michael shot Stamets out of the ship. And Osyraa is basically finally hit with something where she doesn't want to sign this, or is hesitant to sign this treaty, or whatever. The actual cliffhanger though was the robots. That was the episode it ended on. Because I was surprised when it ended there, because it went to black for like 3 seconds. Like, wait, is this the end? Is like Tilly like teaming up with the robots? I'm like, oh, I guess it is. I guess if I have a critique, because the episode is pretty strong. Like, as much as I've had some complaints, and I think the weakest part is the friend of Osyraa, who is the scientist who just doesn't believe, or starts to believe too quickly after he does find out that there's a problem with her. But,
yeah, there's going to be a betrayal that's like super projected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's because right before she shoots the Andorian, he kind of nods at her to say, no, do what they're saying because it sounds reasonable and peaceful. And she just turns around and shoots him anyway. And I'm like, oh well, I guess he has proof now that Osyra's an evil bitch. Like now he's got no way of disputing out of it. But yeah, so that was kind of where everything ends up.
I did really like, I really like this episode too, and I also really enjoyed the scenes between Osyraa and the Admiral the most, I think.
I actually agree, and I think
they're both pretty strong characters for season 3.
I'm not a big fan of his character. I just like it from a conceptual point of view that this is what it's all been about, and I want nothing more than to end with this alliance or this like merging happening, because I think it's actually a really interesting idea. It's a really fun action episode, and I like that. I think Osyraa, if anything, could have been a bit more featured in the middle, because the middle of the season kind of slumped, and I'm like, hey, we could have done more building her up. But hey,
she was more like just a rumor, things that people were talking about.
My only critique of the episode, really, from a pacing point of view, because I think it moves got a nice pace. It always feels like stuff's happening. I enjoyed most of the plots well enough. Maybe the friend scientist would be the weak link, but is that I did feel like sometimes they kind of forgot about certain plot lines for a long time. So there was a point where it cut back to like the crew who'd escaped, their captors, and I'm like, where have you been actually? Like it's been like 10 whole minutes and like tons of stuff's been happening in every single plot except you guys. Like like how long is it taking you to wander through this part of the ship? And it's really just an editing thing, but it made it feel like there was long stretches of time between some of the plots where maybe Michael was gone for a while or maybe these guys were gone for a while. It could have been maybe evenly spread between them a bit more, but it's a minor thing, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't really bother me too much. I really enjoyed watching this episode, and I didn't really notice the pacing too much. The more my nitpicks are just with the some of the line deliveries, like the Tilly and Book scene and the
Stamets yelling about his child.
yeah.
My entire family's on there. You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
I do like the actor a lot, though.
Although, did you pop for the Vulcan pinch?
Oh yeah, that was good. I'm glad that she still used it. I thought it was a lot more effective than the first time we saw her use it, because the first time she knocks out Georgiou, but Georgiou like pops back up within like a minute.
Well, this was good because it was an emotional, even though the emotion from him was a bit over the top. It was coming from an emotional moment where he's refusing to do this thing that objectively is good for everything. Again, I still question that Michael's a bit quick to do this when it's not her personal connections that are at stake. But
yeah.
It does make sense in this context. But you totally get why her arguing for this has no water or holds no water to Stamets, because, well, I mean,
if everyone dies on the planet, then Stamets, which they won't, then Stamets could become the season 4 villain.
He could be. He could be the evil mad scientist.
Yeah,
he totally could be.
He's got mad, which could be fun.
My husband died twice.
Yeah, they won't die. They won't do that. Because they brought him back, and presumably the reason they brought him back was because they had like the whole kill your gays trope after the first season that I think they wanted to erase.
But hey, this has been the penultimate episode of the season. It'll be really funny to come in and hear if Connor's either been hating or loving, or probably being somewhere in between, I imagine. All things.
I don't know.
But we'll find out. Well, it depends actually. We may be doing this too quick actually when Connor's back. But if you happen to have watched the episode, you may have to give me some of your thoughts before the review's done, just so I can say, oh, Tara thought this of the finale. Since you've been here for the past like 5 episodes, giving all these opinions.
10 out of 10. Loved it.
So predictable sometimes. This has been Star Trek Discovery. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. And of course, all those things do help. But you can support us financially, can't you, Tara?
Yep. Please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/FilmFuzzTV. Donate as low as $1 per month will get you bonus material for us. And if you donate $5 per month, you'll get reviews 1 week early or 1 day early, depending on which show. And go check it out. Thank you.
There you go. That's the show. That's the review. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?